National Insurance Clearinghouse, the marketing arm of Brokers Alliance, presents a Bravo video event, the Business Insurance Zone, dedicated to financial professionals who use insurance in their practice. And now the host of the Business Insurance Zone, the whiz of the biz, insurance columnist Steve Savant.
Well, welcome everyone to the Business Insurance Zone. We're broadcasting live to a nationwide audience of financial professionals from Fountain Hills, Arizona, home of America's largest fountain. And of course, we're with Maria Umbach, who's been here for the last 2 days, day 3 with Maria. I got to tell you, my brain is on overdrive now. I mean, I'm fried with all these new concepts that you've been bringing to the table today. And if you've missed any of her shows the last Monday or Tuesday, you can hop out on our site, brokersalliance.com. Right on our homepage, you'll see the big red archive button. Just click it, and you'll be right there with Maria. And all this week, we're talking about how to talk about life insurance, how to sell it. Maria and her firm play huge among carriers where they do consulting, and we have her in because this week she's speaking huge. Again, she's one of the big national speakers at the National Association of Independent Life Brokerage Agencies, which is a huge organization that we belong to. So welcome to our show again, Maria.
Thank
and
you.
I have to say, right from the get-go, I love what we're talking about today. I've heard consumer, but I've never heard prosumer. Right?
Right.
I mean, prosumer. Am I prosumer or am I anti-sumer? Right?
Well, the word prosumer is a combination of the word consumer and one of 3 other words. It could be professional, proactive, or producer. And all 3 are, and I didn't invent the word prosumer, by the way. I believe it was the folks that wrote the book Wikinomics. But the idea of blurring the lines between the manufacturer and the consumer, and where consumers basically now hack into any product or service that they find of interest, and they blur the lines between the professional, the manufacturer, and they're very proactively out there creating their own version.
Have they seen that kind of breaking down the barriers as actually a better sales, better marketing, better trafficking in their product or what they're trying to sell, their services?
The most innovative companies do see it that way. I mean, the Googles of the world and the Apples of the world want consumers to hack in to their product and figure out how to make it the next best generation of product for that consumer.
Well, the reason I bring that up is because I was I was writing an article on fees and costs and so forth, and I looked at this huge gauntlet out on the web that gave me information on mutual funds. Every single micromanaged expense and cost out there. And then I looked at, well, who was on the front page and then how many hits did they get? And I mean, I was saying, okay, so people want to know this information. Number one, that's what I got out of it. And number 2, wow, that person is explaining it in a way that they can get it. And it was so not professional.
Right.
It was down to earth. I got it on the first pass. I'm thinking people into this article on the web, on the front page, have learned the landing page language of Google.
Right. So they're hacking right into it, and they're using it for their own recreation, their benefit, and even potentially some professional benefit. The prosumer is the one that's changing the face of changing the game in our industry and in every industry for that matter. So if you think about the traditional ways that we market and sell products, does not work with the prosumer. If they can't take it, figure out how to make it their own, and then feed it back out, they're going to either toss it aside or it's going to be a focus all on price, all about commoditization. How do I just figure out how to deconstruct this thing so I can figure out how to get the best deal?
Well, when I saw your original phrase, prosumer, and some of the things you're writing, I noticed you put in here, and I'm just reading right out here, prosumer avoiding advisor abuse.
Advisor abuse. Oh yes, this is so interesting.
I'm sorry, but my first thoughts was abuse. I was like, wasn't it the
buy
this contract?
Well, it's actually the other way around, where the prosumer is actually. There's this great video that I cannot take claim to, but I found it online. I don't know who made it, but it's an extra normal video made by a prosumer, right? Somebody in this industry. There's an exchange between an advisor and a consumer, and the consumer is clearly in the driver's seat, telling that advisor what it is that they already want to buy, no matter how ridiculous it is for their financial situation, and asking that advisor just to sell it to them and tell them that it's okay. Meaning that it's all about transaction validation, not about getting the advice. And so the abuse is in that the advisor was getting kicked around by the consumer because he was feeling like, wow, I've done all this studying in my life, I have all this experience to give this person the advice that they're asking me for, and they've already made their mind up. They want to buy gold because Susie Ormond told them so. And so now that's the abuse part. So how do you avoid the advisor abuse is the key, is that you have to know how the prosumer is going to be wired and predisposed before you even interact with them.
Well, let's say I think the prosumer is watching shows, cable, radio shows, internet shows like ours, and they're kind of becoming really hip to everything we're talking about, and they can actually engage the advisor.
Right.
Well, here's the thing. I was on one of the biggest blogs. It is the biggest insurance blog in the United States, and I know that we're being trolled by retail consumers. The way they talk to us, I can tell this is not a licensed agent.
Right.
And so already out on the web, we have the public trolling our professional sites to get the language, what's going on, what's the best, and watching us duke it out in a verbal volleyball game on the blogosphere, and then them holding back and then coming to questions.
And that's the hacking. That's what they're doing. They're hacking in that way and then reconstituting it for their own use and their own benefit. And they're not encumbered by the rules that, let's say, the people inside the insurance industry are. So when we talk about social media, and I joke about this, I now am allowed to engage fully in social media because I'm no longer, I gave up my registered rep licenses and registrations when I left the insurance industry and went into the consulting side of the business, because there's many that feel that their hands are tied in being able to do that, right? And I know that the insurance companies and the broker dealers are working through that and hopefully being able to, to come up with a solution. But they're not encumbered by that, so they can go out there and say whatever they want. Then they become the expert because they have more volume out there, right?
Yeah, and I noticed that one of the things that we were reading on Facebook Technology talked about the endorsement from a person on the blog, a regular retail blogger, is 10 times more worth it than the ad on the same blog.
You couldn't be any more right.
I mean, so it's not. I don't care anymore what this company says.
Right.
What do people say about your company?
Yeah. And that's leading into where social media has to be used the right way. I joke about this being the social disease, social media being a social disease, because when people are misusing social media and they are pushing their messages out there that feel very much like an advertisement, the prosumer is hip to that. And so don't forget, social media is about social first and media second. But if you look at good examples of how companies deconstruct their own portfolio and then use what's relevant out in social media that people are actually willing to hear, and they have other people kind of following them and saying good things about them, that's when social media is working to your advantage.
I have to say, one of the most creative things I saw, and this is a shameless plug for AXA after I kind of knocked him on the gorilla ad. The thing about that I noticed was they put out a thing called The Game. And it's a very video kind of a game about life. It's like taking the life, remember the old game, Life? Right. Only they put it on video. Yeah. And all of a sudden people are playing the game.
Right.
And what a great way. And we took the game, we're taking the game now, and we're putting it on a specific site of people who are coming from the medical field into life insurance.
Right.
And a set of mantra, education, great poupon kind of training. No, we're sitting there playing the game. Learning about life insurance, playing the game. Unbelievable.
I think in hindsight, dialing the clock back, I would have wished that somehow or another a carrier would have been the creator or co-creator of Second Life. As an example, to be able to play a game of life that includes the things that we talk about all the time that are relevant to people. But going back to social media again, if there's great case in point around Progressive, the P&C company, the flow, that particular personality knows how to say things that are engaging.
We love flow.
Yeah, so flow is a great example. Like, look at the number of hits that flow has versus other competitors that are spending about the same amount on advertising. So let's say like an Allstate or even a Geico, but Allstate, for example, if you look at the difference in the content on their Facebook pages, very different tone, very different elements that are in there.
Yes, Flo is huge, and
Right.
she has a cult following, and I wouldn't be surprised if she gets her own comedy series.
She should.
Who knows? There you go.
She's phenomenal.
Flip side, I noticed Allstate went off the rails with the ad mayhem.
Yeah,
Now
yeah.
that's a little outside their convention.
Right.
you know.
It's outside. Yeah, it is outside the convention. A very well executed,
excellent.
executed campaign. And then in terms of results, what's working more
Right.
is what, let's say, Flo is doing. And the reason for that, again, we have a saying, another saying at Maddock Douglas, that advertising is the tax and marketing is the tax you pay for an idea that's mediocre. Okay,
Wow.
so if you have to spend lots and lots of money pushing your ad through ad media and knowing that a ton of it's going to waste, that means that the thing that you're offering isn't robust. It's not resonating enough. It's not big enough.
Well, this is a shocker. This is to all our carriers that we have great relationships with. The vast majority of publications that they send to us as IMOs hit the trash can within minutes. There's very few publications I read from home office now, specifically, that really turns my head. Although I have to say, there are one or two of them that I actually like, and every time I see it, I go, this is great intel. I mean, fabulous format. Intel. They're saying something that I want to know as an IMO.
Right.
Then I have to digest that and say, does my producer want to know it? Then he has to digest it and say, does my consumer want to know it? I feel like we're regurgitating. By the time it gets down to the bottom end user, what does that? I know. What does it look like?
yeah, exactly.
No, I'm there on that. I'm totally there on that.
Yeah.
I'm trying to convert. Over these 5 days of having you on our show, I'm trying to get the new religion. It's a new one. We have to desert the old icons, right, of our past, and we have to adopt the new, edgy, whatever the new constructionism is.
Well, and when we think about deserting, I just want to give you a caution there. Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. I mean, there's a lot of things in the way that the industry has done business over the years and what it stands for that shouldn't be thrown away.
So we don't have to go to Genesis 1:1.
No, but but what you want is mutuality 2.0. You know, that's really what we want. We want to take what makes the industry tick and work. And we said this earlier. It's like there's social, which is the relationship orientation of the industry, is very helpful, and that we don't want to lose. We don't want to lose the essence of the business either. What do we stand for in terms of this is a collective view of how insurance pools make the system work. We just want people to understand that better and then communicate in modern terms.
Well, again, don't you see a clash, though, between modernizing the terms and compliance? I mean, to me, that's an issue.
That comes up all the time. We'll address that in the in the next segment for sure. But that's definitely an issue.
I'm trying to be compliant. I'm trying to communicate according to the rules of every carrier that decides to bring language to the table that we need to use. And I have to say, it's stiff. It doesn't convey to the client, but it covers some attorneys. FYI. Yeah. Okay. Well, there's
a solution to that, though.
Small little complaint. We'll catch it up. You're listening to the Business Insurance Zone, the show that focuses on insurance in your practice. You can email me at my address, thebiz@brokersalliance.com, or just call me toll free, 1-800-290-7226, extension 147. Coming up in our next segment, we're going to go more prosumer with Maria Umbach right after the break. I know I'm going to go learn a thing.
Banner Life Insurance Company and its subsidiary, William Penn Life Insurance Company of New York, comprise the Legal & General America companies, part of the International Legal & General Group, one of the largest insurance companies in the world. Now, Legal & General America is one of the top-rated insurance companies in America, with one of the strongest financial balance sheet among its peers. Legal & General America is a major player in guaranteed term and guaranteed universal life, and consistently ranks among the best carriers in almost every product spreadsheet. Legal & General America's product line of guaranteed universal life endows at the maturity date, while most carriers' cash values just zero out. You know the reputation of Banner? Now know the value of LGA, Legal & General America. The power to protect, the power to preserve, the power to serve their policyholders. That's Legal & General America.
Well, welcome back to the Business Insurance Zone. I'm Steve Savant, your host, insurance columnist, oh my goodness, financial color commentator, and interviewer extraordinaire. Remember, before moving forward with anything, and especially on this show, always talk to your CPA, attorney, and compliance department because they'll have no clue what Maria and I have been talking about. I guarantee you. You can call me toll free 1-800-290-7226, extension 147 for any of your quotes or questions on life insurance, DI, annuities, LTC, and group pension plans. Hey, it's not what I know, it's who I know, and that's why I have Maria on. I got to tell you, I'm trying to stretch myself. You're making my thinking go elastic.
Is that good?
I don't know. How far can it go?
I
don't know.
I don't want you to snap or anything.
I might snap. Well, at least I'll tell you this. If I don't snap, compliance will.
Okay.
Hey, don't forget, you can go to Maria's website, www.soldnotbought. I love that. Soldnotbought.com. And all her articles, there's a lot of free material out there. I say, if you're looking to an engagement, especially if you're looking to reinvent yourself, this is the time to do it. You know, I really think about that. Right. Reinventing. We have people that are sitting there right at the road, crossing the road. I want to stay in this business. Right. How do I up my game? How do I change my name recognition in my community? Right? And you're talking about things. This is like I want to do a whole thing called practice makeover.
Yeah, extreme
right?
makeover.
Yeah.
Right, absolutely.
Well, now we were talking about prosumer. You use this word, I love it, avoiding the commodity trap. Now, before, I'm not going to assume that everybody understands what commodity is, so let me in on that, and then tell me, how do we get ensnared in this? Because I can see myself falling into this same hole all the time.
Yeah, well, the commodity trap is really about when you fall into price. It's all about price, or it's about some number. You know, so if it's in the consumer world, how can I get it cheaper? You know, in the world of underwriting, it's like I need to get a better underwriting deal, a better class, whatever it is. It's all about price. And I have been talking with producers in the insurance industry for a gazillion years. I've also had a lot more experience with people in the P&C world and other types of insurance. And there are some that will fold their arms and say, well, this is a commodity. It's a commodity. And then I would say, well, check, please. I would like to move on because you're really bumming me out today, and I'm getting bored just thinking about that. I don't think anybody who's in this business with a passion and with a vengeance to grow it, like you said before, should be viewing it as a commodity. I mean, if it truly is, then find something else to do, because there are many commodity turnaround stories in the world that somebody could have sat there with their arms folded and said the same thing. You know, water as an example. I'm drinking designer water in this cup. You know, somebody would have said at some point that water was free. You know. Avion is naive spelled backwards, for heaven's sakes. Really.
I did not know that.
Check that. It's true.
What bothers me about your statement is I'm thinking 15 years ago somebody said, hey, you guys are going to be paying for bottled water.
Right. That might have made you angry.
Or now I taste bottled water and I go, why does it taste better than my water at home?
Right.
Why is that?
Why is it? Because you've gotten used to that. So, and you're willing to pay for it.
I'm willing to pay $5 at Starbucks for a cup of whatever.
Yes, exactly.
I mean, I don't get that.
Starbucks has done it. Toilet paper has even done it. You know, if you don't believe me, read the book Poop Culture. It'll tell you all about that. Never mind. Yes.
Poop culture?
Yeah.
I am totally all over that.
It's all about America's grossest national product and how it shapes the economy.
I can't believe it.
Yeah.
I feel like my stock in Charmin just went down.
Charmin is the key. I mean, people pay 3 times as much for that experience.
I love that double pleatedness.
Yeah.
Oh, whatever.
Quilted.
I mean, can you imagine trying to convert term insurance, which I believe a lot of people, I'm sorry to say, relegate to commodity, right?
Right.
That's about as most, it doesn't get any more commodity like that.
Right.
That they relegate that, and I'm trying to say, I want to put that on the same level as my double pleated Charmin.
Well, some people have, done that in that I've seen in the business, but I would encourage you to expand your thinking beyond something like the product itself, term insurance, and think about what is it that you're really delivering in terms of
not protection after you talked about it yesterday.
I like to say that
I don't want to compete with a Trojan ad, okay?
There you go. Okay, because that would be hard. Excuse me.
Oh, man.
All right, it's just getting bad.
Okay, well, that'll be bleeped. Okay.
So, what I think that I should probably say now is that as from a commodity point of view, we really need to be thinking about the business in a different way. If you think about the buggy whip and the lessons that we learned in management textbooks, it says, okay, the movie industry almost went out of business because when television came along, because they defined their business as movies, not as entertainment. The bigger, wider definition. In the life insurance industry, we define our business as life insurance. Suppose we defined it as lifestyle continuity, meaning that people can now look at the things that mess up their plans as fair game for our industry to tackle.
Oh, I love that.
Okay.
So okay, let me make sure, because I remember we all have this, and I have this on a boilerplate I've had for 27 years. Life events.
Right.
So I start this timeline from my birth to my projected life expectancy, and everything that can happen in that life. And I mean everything: disability, long-term care, I die, somebody else dies, whatever. I plot this line, I have this now. So if I got into consumer thinking, prosumer thinking, that life is on a timeline, there's a continuity. Whatever messes up, I want to cover that.
Right. And so if we had been thinking about our industry that way for years, we might have invented roadside assistance. We might have. Because that's something that messes up my short-term plans. My car just broke down, okay? Or something that interrupts my employment, or something that interrupts, again, the best advisors in the business are doing things in the realm of estate planning around wills and trusts and things of that nature that the insurance companies sometimes do and sometimes don't assist with. But that's part of it. It's the lifestyle content. What did I plan for myself? What did I plan for my family? What did I plan for my business? What about the things that happened before and after my death?
Well, I'm trying to figure out how can I don't know if we're talking about things that are very insightful.
Yeah.
Can I put a formula to any of this, or am I just asking for the moon here when I say?
Well, an insight formula. We do actually use an insight formula, and there's math behind it from the realm of the consumer insight. It looks like this: I, statement of fact, because, reason, but, tension. So it might be something like, for example, I would like to own life insurance because I really want to protect my family and my business, but I feel like I'm going to get ripped off or oversold. That whatever comes after the but, is the tension, and that tension, once solved for, represents opportunity in the industry. Now, the thing that we're woefully, we don't have enough of in the industry is that insight. And that quantifiable insight to know which ones are have the most tension that can be solved for with some kind of product, service, business model, something that we can offer in order to solve for that tension.
Well, I think this is where we thought we were going, and I have to say, I wrote an article on this years ago, about over a decade ago, on everybody told us, well, insurance is going to get so commoditized that you can go to the mall, buy it on a kiosk, right? And we'll all be out of a business by 2010. I mean, that was actually told to us, right? But it has to be sold, not right. It has to be sold, not bought, right? I mean, it can't be that's just not working. And I noticed that a lot of the big term life insurance purveyors out on the web have over a third of their business NTO, not taken offers, because the client thinks he's perfect and everything else. We need to come back. All right, we won the war on that issue. We're right now. We know we were right 10 years later. But now we're losing the war with old redundant banners and old redundant mantras, and we won that war, but now it's kind of like we're raising the flag when we have to go forward. Especially when you said yesterday, and I never think about this because the baby boomers are we circle around ourselves. We are the generation. We're going to be the largest retirement. We're going to be the largest voting bloc. We are the ARP nation, right? But Generation X and Y, I do have to still sell to these people, And I mean, I've already sold these people. Pretty much did that. Okay, now I have to go to the next generation, and you're saying a next generation. Right.
And so Gen Y is the starting point. It's befuddling to the whole industry. To your point, though, what is that new mantra? And I think at this point, moving forward, stop talking so much about the product and the price and whether or not your preferred standard and all of that, and start talking more about how insurance works as it's very much a collaborative product because of the fact that it works by pooling. Instead of comparing, company X to company Y in terms of price, compare the cost of self-insuring against insuring. And that's when people remain uninsured, life insurance wise, and health insurance, any kind of insurance for that matter. But there's certain things you can't be uninsured, as you said before, like auto and whatnot. But life insurance, what's the cost of doing that yourself? So if you think you're being ripped off, if you think you're being oversold, if that's the tension, what does it cost to say, all right, I'm just going to go without? And then how do I self-fund all those things from a lifestyle continuity point of view that I would have wanted to fund? That's really the education or the preparedness that consumers need to have to make that decision.
Well, I want to make them, I want to have the decision made by the consumers that we have the answers that they want to hear,
Right.
not the way we want to tell it,
Right.
the story that they want to hear it with, and whatever metaphors they're using, I want to get hip to it, I want to understand it, and I want to be able to convey it in an easy format and I'm back to your push-pull thing.
Right.
I want to be able to pull them in. I want to be magnetic in the way I talk. I want them to be attracted to my message.
Right. Right.
And I think that alone could be a show. I mean,
Right. Well,
how do I make that
that's
happen?
essentially flirting with the uninterested. I mean, how do you all of a sudden get uninterested people to be interested in what you're saying? And one of the big to-dos there is to be making it about them and understanding what those tensions are in a very, very deep way, and then building around that, right? So some of the best out there on the web today, or out there in the world today, that are dealing with prosumers are doing that through the understanding of social currency.
I love social currency. I want to pick up on that tomorrow when we have you back in.
Great.
Maria, thanks for being on our show. We'll see you tomorrow on our show. Hey, remember, you can view this show and all our shows and the entire series in HD 1080p on our on-demand video section located on our homepage, www.brokersalliance.com, and of course all on YouTube, Vimeo, Facebook, LinkedIn, and where I do my Twitter. I'm Steve Savant here. You're listening to the Business Insurance Zone. That's the buzz on the biz for today. Get in the zone, the Business Insurance Zone.
This has been a Bravo video event of the National Insurance Clearinghouse, the marketing arm of Brokers Alliance, one of the largest distributors of insurance products and services, to a nationwide network of insurance professionals. Need insurance guidance? Call Brokers Alliance.